All right, we are rolling. It is December 30th, 2022.
2022.
And we're
Right.
here with Angela and Jim Bell. And we're just talking. We're having a conversation about
Right.
your lives.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with Mom and tell us, when were you born and where?
I was born May 2nd, 1945, in Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Dad, when were you born?
I was born March 6th, 1945, in Providence, Rhode Island. And we were both born in Lying In Hospital, but we didn't meet each other there.
You didn't meet there. Oh, okay. So
That's Angela.
we have a picture here of Angela. Mom, tell us, what was it like growing up? Where'd you guys live? What was your
Lived in
family doing?
Providence.
And Mom and Dad were doing, and brothers and sisters. Tell us about what you remember about early days.
Okay,
Your
early
family.
days. We lived in a tenement house in Providence, big old tenement house on like the second or third floor. And
How many rooms were in
I
there?
must have had, you don't know,
One bathroom, though.
one bathroom, and it had probably 3 bedrooms and a big room with a piano in it. And Grandma used to play the piano in it. She would just do chopsticks, dun, 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 you know. And
Anyone else in your family play music?
Grandpa,
Yeah.
he played the guitar, he played the drums. Liked them both.
And what were they doing? What was your mom doing?
They were working in jewelry stores,
No, factories.
factories. Sorry, jewelry factories. Grandpa did
Plating.
plating for knives, and Grandma did rings, plating for rings.
He had some position in the church, too. Did he help with the church? in
Yes,
some
he
way?
was the marshal in the church.
What does that mean?
It means he took care of the limousines
Yeah,
and made sure that everybody was there when the basket was passed.
I see.
It was one of those churches.
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, we know there's no such thing as the mob. But
No,
we're
not
not
at
saying
all.
that. That's
No.
not what we're saying.
Of course not. We grew up in Federal Hill, which was very Italian.
Is this your parents?
Yes.
Yes.
That's Ercole J.
That's
and
right.
Catherine.
Catherine D'Amico.
When was that picture taken? Do you remember when they got married?
I think it was 1944.
Yeah, that's a nice shot. Nice shot.
Yeah.
Okay. And brothers and sisters?
Okay, brother Paul, who's a couple of years younger than me,
Oh, there's Uncle Paul.
and brother Larry, who's a couple of years younger than him, and then my baby sister G, who's 9 years younger than me, Geraldine.
Larry since passed.
Larry has passed. He passed at 33 of spinal cancer. And
And what was life like living there? Do you remember the address?
Yes, 20 Europe Street.
20 Europe Street.
And well, we had us there. I had my friends lived there. My best friend Bev lived in the backyard, and we'd all meet together in the backyard, playing kick the can and hula hoop and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fun thing was if you had a bicycle. Well, we never had bicycles. We were poor, so my brother Larry used to steal them. But other than that,
And that's the truth.
it is the truth. And you know, we were kids. We played outside. We did come in when the street lights went on and all that kind of thing. You know.
When you had was the holidays were at your house?
Yeah.
Extended
Yeah.
family? Who would come from extended family?
Whoever was around would
And,
come.
and Rocco.
And Rocco, Grandpa's friend, and some other friends they might have, you know. And then once all our kids got married and whatnot, came to that house too. I don't remember all of that.
I remember walking up those stairs, that very narrow
Yes.
stairway. There's
Yeah.
a little landing on the top with
Yeah.
a 55-gallon drum of wine.
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah, wine was always on the table.
Even for the kids.
Well, if they wanted to try
Yeah.
it, they could.
Yep.
We never stopped them.
was more
That's
drinkable than water.
that's 4 of us.
That's all the brothers and sisters.
Cool. All right. Well, let's switch over to
First of
Mr.
all,
Bell here, so-
she left something out.
what did she leave out?
The thing with her family, they were very close. Her brother, her sister, and Auntie Linda all used to take a bath on Saturday night
No.
together.
That's very close.
Because the mother would dump hot water in the tub, they'd jump in, and away they go.
We
big
didn't have
clawfoot
hot
tub.
water, so we all took a bath together, but we had our underpants on. But Linda wasn't there. She wasn't in the bathtub, no.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
say that, 'cause
Oh,
she'll
I
have a
thought
fit.
Linda was in.
No, she
See-
wasn't.
See, I got that
All right,
wrong.
see, now you learned something.
Yeah, I did.
It was just the 4 of us.
I learned
brothers
something
and my
every day.
sister.
Was that the same clawfoot tub that when I?
Yeah,
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 wow,
same
wow.
one, yeah.
All right, let's switch gears to Dad.
Okay,
Here.
go
Tell us a little bit about your family, your mother, father, what
Go
they
get
were
that
doing,
picture. Well,
your
shit,
siblings were doing. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
here's,
show that one.
here you go. Show that.
Just be nice.
That's
the one.
that's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
So that's your father and mother,
Yes, it
probably maybe around the time they got married, or
And a little after, because he's still smiling. You know, I am. They he had a long marriage. They had a long marriage. They both since passed, and a very, very different upbringing because he had a great job. We had a home in Coventry. Everything was fine, and then one day he decided he didn't want to work anymore, so he quit everything.
do you ever
And,
know why? Ever
Um,
explain why?
No, just no. He had an epiphany.
Wasn't health issues or anything like that?
He's a bad back. You know, he's a bad back. But everybody in the world's got a bad back. So,
Is this you with them in this picture?
Yep.
More than likely,
Probably,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, he. There's a lot of history there that I don't know. On his deathbed, he never told anybody why he changed his name. You know, so there's.
So what was the original family name?
The original family name is Del Santo, which means from the saints, which none of us are.
Yeah.
You know? And,
So when he changed the family name, you lost track with the rest of the Del
Yeah.
Santos.
no.
no,
kept
They
up with them.
were all friendly.
Okay.
There was a couple of his sisters and a couple of his brothers, and they used to see each other once in a while. His mother lived to be very old.
I think there's a picture of
No, that's my grandfather. That's my grandfather.
It's his
My
mother's
grandfather,
your mother's father.
Yeah.
who was instrumental in keeping us alive, because
What did he do?
he more or less supported us.
You know, what was his vocation?
He was a self-taught engineer. Him and his friend Jim Hartwell invented and more or less patented the automatic fire sprinkler.
This is James Johnson.
James T. Johnson.
Yep.
Right. He traded his part of the royalties for the sprinkler for a lifetime job with Grinnell. And he traveled the country supervising, installing sprinklers in all the old mills, the old textile mills, all around the north and south everywhere. Hartwell took his royalty in money and started the Hartwell Company, which was a very, very lucrative sprinkler company and engineering company. So they were friends till their deaths. Really good friends. So, he was an avid Christian, nice man, a Mason. If he told you he was going to be there at 3 o'clock, he was there at 5 waiting for you. 5 of 3 waiting for you. I learned a lot from him. I spent my summers with them.
Where?
In Island Park in Portsmouth.
Oh,
Is that
Yeah.
him too?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's his engineering graduated class where he graduated engineering school. He put himself through school while he was supporting his mother, his father, and his own family, who was just started. His wife, my grandmother, which is right here.
Which one? On the left?
This one.
Yeah.
This is my grandmother, and that's her sister. She died in her late 40s, early 50s. Hardcore diabetic. Hardcore. That's where my mother got it from, because she inherited. Yeah, this is her late 40s.
That's your mother there.
This is my
Yes, your mother,
grandmother, grandfather, and mother. The little
Yeah.
baby's mother.
Yeah.
My mother, through her entire life, was hardcore diabetic.
Yeah.
She was born with it, and she had seizures.
Yeah.
This is my mother with her, what she used to call her brother, but it was Uncle Bill. That was her sister's kid.
Those are cousin.
A cousin, but they grew up like brother and sister. She had seizures when she was young, and they didn't have the treatment they have today.
Right.
So my grandfather, made a pact with God. If she pulled out, she would never want for anything in her life.
And he had the means to support her.
Yes.
And he had the means, and he made the means.
Patent.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
He did.
He had everything, and he spent down to his last dime on her.
Wow.
He passed away, and she lived in his house on his funds for the next 20 years. But that's when you make a commitment. That's the kind of man he was.
Yeah.
He was a man's man.
Wow.
Right?
And then siblings?
Siblings, Mo, Larry, and Curly. This is me, my brother Philip, and my sister Phyllis. All right. Poor Phyllis went through school. Her name was really Clara Phyllis Bell.
Just like her mother.
And
Yes.
just like her mother. And, of course, she got nothing but harassed through her entire school years because, Clara Bell the clown was out there, and she got harassed.
Right.
She really did.
did.
She inherited my mother's diabetes,
Yeah.
her grandmother's diabetes. And she's been battling that all her life.
Definitely.
My brother Philip, if you look at my brother Philip today, he looks like he's 165 years old.
He's got 9 lives, doesn't he?
9 lives.
Yeah.
He's had just about every kind of cancer you can think about. He's been, like run over by a truck. A real hard life. Me, I had it made. I got married to a woman that slapped me around enough to make me go straight.
Still does.
Still does.
Gotta show that.
All right, this is when I was cute.
When you had hair.
And see the hair?
Yeah.
I grew right through it.
Very good.
All right.
Very good. Okay, so you were living down in Portsmouth?
Only in the summer,
Summer.
because I had to get out of the city of Providence. I didn't know what to do with
Where
myself.
were you guys living in Providence?
In Providence, we lived behind Drake's Bakery on Althea Street, in a cold water flat on the first floor. I went to school at Friendship Street and Gilbert Stewart, and on the way to school, we would put my little brother Philip, through the window at Drake's Bakery in the summer, and he would scoop all of the pastries out off of the V-belt, or the belt, and we would take them to school and sell them. And
You had a racket going.
Right?
this is
Yeah.
it's Rhode Island. You have to have a racket. And
So how close were you growing up to where she was growing up?
not too close. No.
Not
That
in
was
the
the other side of the
Italian
tracks.
part
That
of
was
town.
where the Italians lived. You didn't go up there too much because, it was one of them. And but where I lived, it was Irish and English, and it was sort of a real low class neighborhood. Really, really low class. That's where we moved around. We didn't stay in houses very long because, my father wouldn't pay the rent. My grandfather was constantly bailing them out. Constantly. I would say when I met her, we went to Same as
Central High School.
Central High School.
Yes.
I made it all the way to Central High School, and I met her, and you know, I was in auto shop. She was in the going to college school, and you know, it was like Mutt and Jeff.
It's like a scene out of Grease.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
exactly.
it's true. It's true.
Exactly.
And you know, she was a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I didn't play football. I wrestled. I wrestled for the school, and.
Give me an A, give me a B.
That's true. And you know, I didn't have a chance with a cheerleader.
Do you remember when you actually met?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we were in
What were the
English
circumstances?
class.
English class.
Oh my God.
You gonna tell
Here's-
it or am I gonna tell
You're
it?
gonna tell it.
Okay. We met in English class. And we had to, I was sitting right near the board, the blackboard, and he was the next row over, right sort of next to me. And we had to diagram a sentence. Don't know how we did that. I can't remember. But anyway, we had to diagram a sentence, and he had no idea what the teacher was even talking about.
What do I know about a sentence?
So he had to go up to the board, and he had to diagram the sentence. So I said to him, put the line this way.
You're like,
this line
you're
that
helping
way.
him cheat.
I'm
Yeah.
helping him cheat. right?
She's Italian.
So anyway, he did it, and he did it right.
Oh.
So we went back and sit down. So I kind of liked him. I said,
Because
Auto
I was a
mechanic.
good-looking dude, man. Let me tell
auto
you.
mechanic though, not really college material, but well, it could work. You never know. So I had a notebook sitting on the side of my desk. So I made sure I put my phone number right along the notebook.
Oh.
And he saw the phone number and he called me.
Mm.
Yeah, I did.
I go out.
And it's all downhill
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Look.
And look at
So-
that.
And
Look
this
where
is
it
what
led.
happened.
It led to the honeymoon inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd you when and where'd you get married? And
Well, we had three actual weddings. We had
3 weddings.
Yes.
Wait, is this stuff gonna come out of the closet now? You haven't told us?
You want it out of the closet? I'll take it out of the
All right.
closet.
so we had the first wedding was we got married in his church, the Methodist church,
Oh.
because he's a Methodist and I'm a Catholic. So
I have a method to my
the
madness.
Catholic wouldn't let us get married there at the time.
That's right.
Whatever. So anyway, we got married in his church, and Uncle Paul and my cousin Sandra stood up for us. They were our maid of honor and best man. Very small wedding. Because to be honest with you, I was with child.
What?
So
I'm shocked.
with you, child. So it was a very fast wedding, which is okay, you know. And then, so we had it at Grandma's house and the cake, and we had, you know, it was nice. It was okay. We honeymooned in New Hampshire in a blizzard,
Oh,
but that's okay.
because this was December
December 5th.
1964.
Yes. So then after that, we got married in the Catholic Church, and our friends Joanne and Jimmy Whittle,
Yeah. Who are divorced?
who they stood up for us,
So how
and
did
we
you
got
s-
blessed through the Catholic Church. So now I'm
Probably your
blessed.
father's connections might have.
I don't know. You
Ching,
never know.
ching, ching,
Yeah.
ching.
We paid, you know, we paid the money. And then actually, the third blessing of the marriage was in Barbados with Wendy and John, and John's
Oh,
parents
that's
when they
right.
took us there. Years ago, it was our 40th wedding anniversary, and they had another wedding ceremony for all of us
Wow.
because it was Wendy and John's 20th or something.
Right.
Our 40th and his parents' 40th. So that was 3 times we got married.
Wow.
Yeah.
Three strikes and you're up.
Third time a charm.
Yeah, it is. It is.
There, show
It was
that
nice.
picture. Show that picture.
Turn
That's
it
a
around.
great
That's not for
picture.
you to show. Give it to Jordana. There you go.
She's got a steadier hand than me.
Okay, so why are you in uniform here?
Well, because I joined the Army.
Well, you were drafted.
No, I wasn't.
Wasn't
No, I joined the Army. It's
anyway,
when I was
yeah.
17.
Yeah.
And I went to Germany. And I rode her once in a while. And then I came back and
Tell us a little bit about your experience in Germany, what that was like, and what the
Uh,
times were like.
well, a
what
lot
you
of
were
it I
doing
don't
there.
remember. What I learned how to drink.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
learned how to drink beer. That's why to this day I still can't drink beer. Can't drink beer. Can't, because that's all you do over there. You can't drink the water. They feed beer to babies, and everybody drinks beer. Get up in the morning in the mess hall. You have beer. You eat breakfast and beer, and you know. So after a while,
But what were you doing in the army?
I drove. First, I went there as a tank driver.
You were driving. Okay.
I drove tanks. And drove tanks, and we used to go to the Czech border. We had a point on the Czech border,
At the time was
63, 64. When Kennedy got shot,
63.
63, we got alerted. We went to the Czech border. The Czechs pulled up this way. We pulled up this way across the border. You could see them. We could see
they
them.
were basically Soviets at the time.
Basically Soviets. Everybody thought that the Soviets or the Czechs or somebody killed Kennedy other than the American, whoever did it. So we sat there for a month. And we got there, and we used to yell at the Czechs, and they used to yell at us, and we used to throw stuff across the border, and they threw stuff at us. But then, one guy held up a pack of cigarettes, like this, Marlboros, I think.
Yeah.
And the Czech guy held up beer,
Oh,
and it was cigarettes, beer, blue jeans, beer,
yeah.
shoes, boots, beer.
You had a little black market going.
Oh, it was like a supply line.
Yeah.
It was a supply line, and it turned out to be a good time. Nobody made friends with the Czechs, but we did a lot of trading. We got a lot of beer because they had an endless supply of beer, and we had cigarettes, endless supply. So that worked.
No shots were fired.
No shots were fired. We finally went back. But it was like an hour and a half away from the base where we were, and crazy to drive those tanks with those big tracks on those little skinny roads in Germany. Crazy. And after I got back, I changed school. I went to school and got motor vehicle maintenance, so I became a tank and truck mechanic. Once you get out of driving the tanks, it was not a lot of fun. And
So were you stationed over here somewhere after you got back from Germany, or did you...
when we rotated, Vietnam was coming.
Yeah.
And it was we rotated. I rotated back to
Fort Knox.
no, I think it was. I forget. I think it might have been Fort Knox. It might have been Fort Knox, Kentucky, wherever it was. And then, but when I got out of in Massachusetts. The base was in Massachusetts. I got discharged from.
You were right between Korea and Vietnam.
Absolutely,
Right.
in the absolute middle. That's why today everybody says, "Don't you get any VA benefits? You're in the middle." There's nothing for the guy in the middle. Nothing. Zero.
We tried to.
You weren't in combat either.
Right.
No,
so
no,
that's
combat,
why.
you know.
One of the big reasons why.
No, so I was in. If I was in the Navy and I went to Guantanamo, a different story. If I went to Vietnam, I just assumed be it the way it was.
So you come back. You got married quickly after that.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And where'd you guys first live? What was your living situation?
Canton Street.
We lived on. First, we had an apartment that was furnished.
Oh yeah.
That didn't last long though in Providence, and then we moved to Canton Street in Providence, and I had you, our first
Where'd you
child,
find this picture?
James F. Bell III, and and that's where you grew up as a baby. Yeah, and
Just an apartment, small
just an
apartment.
apartment up
One
on the
bedroom,
third
two
floor.
bedroom, kind of-
One
Yep.
bedroom. Oh no. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
it had two.
Yeah,
It had 2 bedrooms, kitchen. It was a cute little apartment. And back then, when it was okay to do, I used to put you outside in the carriage with the netting over you. And the lady on the first floor, who was the landlord, I'd say to her, "Could you listen for Jimmy? If he starts crying, can you call me?" "Oh yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. I'll listen." So she did, and it used to go for walks in the carriage and all that kind of stuff. It was fun. And then your grandfather gave us some money. Remember, he sold some property.
Or he gave me the property.
He gave you the property.
And I traded the property in on down payment for a house.
Yeah, so then we bought the house in Warwick.
Morse Avenue.
Morse Avenue.
$14,300 brand new house.
With the stove.
Right on the runway approach. Too.
Yeah, right there.
That's great. So a lot of planes. I remember watching planes from that time.
Yeah, but we lived there for about 7 years.
Yeah,
You were
7, 8
you were,
years.
just a baby.
Yeah.
And your grandfather came to visit his first birthday. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he, he got to see you, meet you, because he didn't, he
We
died.
brought him down there for.
Yeah. Oh, we used to bring you down there all the time,
Yeah.
and he'd play cars with you on his chair. I don't know if you remember that. Probably not.
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, but so yeah, and then we lived
And
there for 7 years, and then
Wendy was born there. Right? Morse
yes, Wendy was born there, 1968, and yeah, and then we stayed there until for about 7 years, and then we moved to Coventry. Kristen was born in Coventry.
So where did that come
1973.
from? Moving from the city to the sticks.
We wanted
Trying
to
to
get
grow.
out of the city.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get some land, a little property, and a better life maybe for the kids, you kids,
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and we lived there for 38 years.
One thing I never have a picture of my grandmother and my grandfather is my grandmother Eva. When this grandmother Clara died, my grandfather was alone for a couple of 3 or 4 years. His brother died, and after 3 or 4 years, his brother's wife and him got married.
Oh,
Eva, to take care of themselves.
you married
Yeah.
sister-in-law. So your aunt was your
Grandmother.
grandmother. Your
Yeah.
great aunt was your
But they did that to take care of themselves to each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
because they didn't want to be alone. And it's an
It's a good
understandable
thing.
thing.
Right.
And my mother had a real hard time with it for a long time, and then she finally grew up. But Eva turned out to be wonderful.
Yeah, she was
Wonderful. I mean, what a
Lady.
what a lady, what a lady. She taught me a lot of stuff. She taught me a lot of things that are right and wrong and shit
I
like
don't know
that.
if we've had.
I have no
identified
pictures of
pictures
Eva. I have no pictures of
Find
Eva.
out
They,
more
and
about
the
it.
small pictures you might,
Yeah.
but she had a daughter, Alice,
And Alice.
Aunt Alice, who was another wonderful lady. She married a guy and moved away to Michigan. He was the chief designer for Pontiac Motors. They had a great life.
What was the connection with Aunt Hattie, who we visited in
Aunt
Nova
Hattie
Scotia?
is my grandmother's, my grandfather's sister. Grandfather's sister. Yeah. She lived to be 100 and who knows what. Very nice lady too.
So, say if we're going to take a break in about 5 minutes, but say
Okay.
say a little bit more about what you were doing for work once you got married, and then sort of early years where you were raising kids.
Yeah,
obviously.
I
So
didn't.
you weren't working at all.
Not really. I did have a couple of part-time jobs at night,
Yeah, she did.
to help out. with
Jewelry
stuff.
shops, shoe
But-
shops. She made sneakers someplace. Her and
And
the
I'd take some
girls.
sneakers home for your kids.
Yeah.
It worked out good. But yeah. So basically, bringing up you
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
was my basic lot in life.
What about you?
And
Me?
Yeah.
you,
I went to work for a vending company
yeah,
all over New England.
Canteen.
Canteen vending company. I worked for them for about, what did I work for them for?
I don't know.
I remember you
Years.
bringing home the first microwave ovens.
I
Remember
did.
that?
Took them
I did.
apart,
I was
played
a
with the
mechanic for-
magnets, and probably screwed up our hearts and brains. Who knows?
So what? Yeah,
It's the
but
strongest
We had
magnets ever.
Micro Mouse then. Remember?
Yeah. I had when Litton come out with the oven, I learned how to fix microwaves, and had to because I fixed their microwaves, and go around New England fixing microwave ovens, and bzzz, it was a normal thing for me.
How long
But-
did you work for them? Do you remember?
Maybe 15 years.
Yeah, quite a while.
15
actually.
years.
Yeah.
Then
That's where you met Jim Hart, right?
Yeah,
Jim's-
Jim Hart, and we're still friends. We're still good friends. I get a lot of friends from there still. But
All right, so you're working for the man.
yeah, and I said it's time to work
And
for the
then
man.
what happened?
I opened a junkyard.
So how did that happen?
Magic. I
I don't know how we did it. I really
Or
don't.
why? Why did you do it?
Because
why?
you wanted
Because
to
I
have.
wanted. I always wanted. I love junkyards. I always loved junkyards. So I met this guy who leased a scrapyard, not a junkyard, a scrapyard. Well, he did metal. And somehow I ran into him. I don't know from what it was. I was doing work on his car or something. He said he leased this junkyard. It was an old mill in West Warwick. And I said, geez, I'd like to start auto parts there. We could both make a lot of money. You do your scrap and I'll do this. We'll split the lease rent on it, The lease rent on it was, at that time, $200 a month. That was big. Because my mortgage was $74, right? And that was with taxes. All right. So we made a deal, and I went in with him and I started buying cars. I went and bought a 1952 Dodge Wrecker. It was like death warmed over. Made it, fixed it up enough to get it working.
That had the hand crank.
Yes.
Yes,
I was in good shape. I exercised every day. And I went around, and I didn't have any money to speak of. So I went around, and if I saw a junk car in the backyard, I knock on the door, and I said to the guy, I need that car, but I got no money to give you. If you give me that car, whenever you need parts for your other cars, you come and see me, and I'll give you parts. And I started, before I know it, I had 80 cars, 100 cars.
People
And
wanted to get them out of the yard.
people wanted to get them out of the yard,
just
and then
get
they'd
rid
come
of 'em.
down and see me. I need a battery. Here's your battery.
Because
Thank
you're getting it from another car.
That's
They
right. I
would-
got
Yeah.
it from the
They
next.
didn't buy another one
Oh
of those
no,
cars.
no,
Yes.
no. So it's like,
Yeah.
it was like at that time, it was like striking gold. Okay, and the people who on the other end, where you took the cars, was God forbid, and put your fingers in your ears. So the Jewish mafia. That's who ran it. And for some stupid reason, they took me under their wing. I can tell you this, I can tell you, you bring me your stuff. And that's how they operated. God bless them. Okay?
All right.
Yeah.
All Masons.
Mm.
Okay? My grandfather was a Mason. At his funeral, I saw the ceremony they put on, and I asked the guy, I says, how do I join that club? He said, it's not a club. You got to get serious, boy. Get serious. So that's how I got into that too. So it's been a very interesting life. But people took care of me for some reason.
Huh.
I don't know what it was. And I repaid it. You treat people the way you want to be treated on the outside, especially business people, and they'll treat you the same way. It worked out good for us. We did pretty good. We ended up not wanting for a hell of a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. I could have bought the whole property and everything for $100,000. Today it's worth $1.5 million. But I did.
That's $100,000.
Yeah, that's
$100,000 was like $1.5 million back
Exactly.
then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, when we bought the house, I built the new house. It was $34,000 worth of land to build the house, and I had to do a lot of the work. After work, I had to go to her cousin's father, who was a painter, Anthony Guido
Trossinelli.
Petrosinelli.
Yeah.
And have him sign a paper that I worked part-time for him to make enough money to pay the mortgage.
$74.
$74.
And he said, yeah, he works for me.
And she went to the bank, not me. Because they said, remember they said to go to Centerville Bank?
Yeah.
And the real estate agent, what was his name? Well, really,
I don't know.
That's about it.
whatever his name was, a real sleazy guy, but he knew how to do. He knew that. Said, you send your wife to the bank. Don't you go to the bank?
I don't remember that.
Because
For
he
the
likes
mortgage.
that guy who makes the mortgages. He likes women. Okay,
Welcome to Rhode
So I
Island.
went.
Welcome to Rhode Island. You got,
Got the mortgage.
All right, let's take a little break here.
Yeah,
Okay.
good idea.
Okay, we're back. We're back with Angela and Jim Bell. Okay, so one of the things we talked about earlier was the family name that is Bell, and but it used to be Del Santo. And so I know that all of us have tried for a long time to figure this out. How did that happen? And so I just want you guys to share what you know, what you guess, what you think, what you speculate on how and why the family name was changed and what the effect of that might have been on the family.
I can only say, I always asked. I asked my father repeatedly.
Do you know when it happened?
No.
Before you were born?
No idea.
Or did-
No idea. I could never find records. So I don't know. I didn't go crazy trying to find records. I didn't go to the court. I didn't send lawyers. But I couldn't find them on my own.
But it wasn't just informal. It was legally.
As far as I know, yes.
Ancient.
But then again, there's nothing legal about what my mother did. My mother put everything, even her Social Security, in the name of Phyllis Bell. There is no Phyllis Bell. There's Clara Phyllis Bell. When she passed and I had to sell her house, it was because it transferred from my grandfather to Phyllis Bell. I had to jump through hoops to sell the house because her name was Clara Phyllis Bell.
Right.
She just wouldn't use it. So, and her Social Security check was even in Phyllis
Ellie.
Bell. How she did that, I don't know, but it is Rhode Island. Anything can happen.
All right. But going back to the family, why would he even want to do that?
I don't have any idea. He never would tell me. He told me constantly to his deathbed, it's none of your business. Angela has a theory. You can play with that theory.
Okay.
It's better than I can do.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Let's hear the theory.
Well, my theory is
Look at that.
he had an aversion to Italians.
Who?
Grandpa Bell.
Even though he himself
Even though he
was
himself.
Italian.
He wasn't
Italian.
Italian. He was English.
No, he was Italian.
Del Santo.
Del Santo.
No. My grandfather was the one that had the aversion.
Oh, the grandfather, not Grandpa Bell, not my grandfather.
Right.
His
I'm sorry.
grandfather.
I'm
His
sorry.
grandfather.
He's right. He's right.
James Johnson.
James Johnson had an aversion to Italian people.
At that time, a lot of people had an aversion to Italian people.
So I think that when Grandpa Bell met Grandma
Get
Bell,
off the chair. Let me sit.
he decided to change his name so he wouldn't be an Italian. Why he changed it to Bell, I don't know.
Was he asked
We've
by
been
his
at.
future father-in-law?
I don't know.
Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if he was asked. I know that we've asked him. Auntie Nancy, my sister-in-law, asked him many times, "Why did you change your name to Bell?" And why Bell? He said, "None of your business," and he would never tell her. So none of us ever knew. And when we asked Grandma Bell, "Why did he change?" I don't know. Ask him. So we never got an answer. We don't know. Have no idea. Nobody does.
You know, and that's where it has to sit until somebody finds records. Who knows?
Well, the records would just show a change of name. It wouldn't
That
necessarily say
wouldn't.
why.
No.
But Bell is such a bland,
Yeah.
British sounding.
Maybe
It's a
he
very
found-
common name in
Yes.
England.
So maybe because Grandma Bell, English, Irish,
No.
well, your mother,
Johnson.
Johnson, yes, and
Welsh.
her family,
Welsh.
Welsh.
She was
and-
Welsh. She was Welsh.
Yeah, and so they weren't Italian, but your father was. So, and I think when I met his grandfather, I don't know if he knew that I was Italian.
Oh, he knew.
You think he knew?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know
Did he
if
like
knew.
you?
Yeah, he did.
You
I
guys
think
got
he
along?
did. Yeah, we got along fine. And when we brought you to see him, that did it all. That was like, okay. And he really adored you, even as
Yeah.
old as he was and as little as you were. You know, he
And
thought the world of you.
Eva just thought the sun rose and set on you when you were a baby.
Yeah.
She did. 'Cause
So you know that
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
it is a mystery. I wish we could find out because it's our heritage. You know, his.
And none of the other Del Santos knew? Do you
they
think?
would never say anything.
They never.
Because
told
I
us.
asked, like Uncle Ernie was close, his brother-in-law. Grace, you couldn't talk to her because she was.
A few
she,
of them like that.
yeah, she was a tough
I
lady.
was afraid
Yeah.
of Grace.
There had,
Yeah.
I was afraid of her.
yeah,
Yeah.
she would scare
She
you.
was to be
But
feared.
you know, she was actually a nice woman. A
Yeah,
very nice
she was. Just came across that way.
Woman. Yeah.
Scared everybody.
Oh yes, my God! And Ernie, he was totally
He was
harmless.
great
A
guy.
guy from
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
He come out in the Navy and met her when he was on one of the ships out here, and he just never went home to California. So she probably put a spell on him.
All right. Well, that's just going to be a mystery till we
There you
Yeah.
go.
figure it out. But all right. So, speaking of family growing, tell us, Dad, you start about the kinds of food that you ate growing up. What was your mother cooking, or your grandmother, or
Simple.
What were you
simple. My mother made meat.
What kind of meat?
Meat.
Meat.
It was meat, boy. Shut up and eat it.
It's just meat.
Meat. That's what it is. And it was. We
You
found.
live right next to the ocean. What about fish?
No. But that's number one on the hit parade. She
Okay.
made meat.
All right.
When we wanted to eat anything decent, I learned how to dig clams at 3 years old, and I dug clams until I moved out of the house. Clams, quahogs, all that stuff. And my father used to sell them at the bar. Me and when my brother got big enough, we'd get dropped off at North Socket, Rhode Island, Warwick, with
Somebody need to go out.
somebody.
Let's
needs
take a
to-
little pause.
Yeah.
We can edit this.
Okay.
Okay, we're rolling again. We're going to pick it up with you were digging clams. You're telling the clam story.
Yeah. But I learned how to dig clams when I was 3, and from then on, it was always when you had any spare time or you were out of school for the summer, you got dropped off at North Socket. You had a peanut butter and bread sandwich, never jelly. That's why today I gotta have jelly.
Okay.
But
Right.
and you dig clams and you put them in a basket, and you do not break clams, because if you break clams, you're gonna get whacked big time. So we used to get the clams, and then my father would come back and pick us up in the late afternoon with my mother, and she'd have another sandwich for us, maybe
This is on a weekend or like,
during every day during the week,
like
every
instead
day
of school?
after school.
After school. Okay.
After school, and if school was out.
Yeah.
If school was out, they drop you off in the morning.
Yeah.
All right. And then he put the clams in the trunk.
Yeah.
Go down to Providence, this bar he used to go to, and he'd go in the bar, leave me, my brother, and my mother in the car, and we'd sit there for an hour. And he'd come out with his orders, and he'd fill the bags with clams, and he'd go back in, and then he'd come out maybe 2-3 hours later. And we did that every day for years. You know, I thought
Was he bringing money home, or was he spending the money in the bar? In the 2 or
well,
3
that's a good question, because I never seen any of it. I don't know what he did.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, we were on welfare all of my younger life. We had a car before anybody in the neighborhood. We had television before a lot of my friends.
And were you
But
eating?
we hid everything when the welly lady came.
Yeah.
It was hide it. Here comes the welly lady.
Yeah.
Hide it.
You were eating the clams too?
We ate
Sometimes.
clams. We went fishing.
Fishing,
Flat fishing.
Yeah.
Flat fishing. We went flat fishing, and my mother she made wonderful flatfish. And I would take it to school for lunch, 2 pieces of bread and a piece of flatfish.
I don't think I ever had any fish that she cooked.
I don't
The
think
only
I
thing
have
ever
either.
had from her was the corned beef.
Clams she would cook that
You know,
way.
she would make the
I
best
liked them growing
Clam
up.
fried
sticks.
I
No, you
clams.
never liked it. Fried clams.
Yeah.
fried clams, whole belly fried clams. She would make them best. And I learned a lot about taking care of yourself.
Hard life. Very hard.
We had a cold water flat, and it was a cold water flat.
No hot water.
We didn't have that for years.
We
So
did
you
was-
just
either.
boil it on the stove.
Yep, you want to get washed up, you boil it in the stove and wash up.
We did too. That's how we took baths.
Sheets, never had sheets on our bed. Never had sheets.
Blankets.
Just blankets and a mattress. Mattress came from Sal's.
Salvation Army.
Yep, every once in a while, go to Sal's and get a new mattress, and throw the other one out over the fence into the bakery or something.
So, meanwhile,
Back at the ranch.
Angela here is growing up in a very different food environment.
She was
yes.
rich.
No, we were very
the food
poor.
was-
Well, let me just say one thing.
Yes.
The first time I went to Angela's house, I was invited to go home with her. Her mother said, "You should stay for dinner." I thought they were freaking millionaires.
Why wouldn't you? Because you had pasta?
Macaroni with red stuff on it,
And
That
not
wasn't
ketchup.
and it wasn't ketchup.
Yes.
To the day my mother died, she thought ketchup went on macaroni.
No,
Tell
very
us about
different.
what
Yeah,
was your-
well,
what were you guys eating and
we
special
always
meals?
ate.
And,
Yeah, we always ate well. We were very poor. We didn't have a lot of money. You know, we had
you can pick her up. She can get on film for
Come
a
on,
little bit.
look,
Yeah.
come over here.
we
Rachel, over here.
got her.
No, she's fine.
She's getting hungry. That's why. But anyway, yeah, we didn't have a lot of money, even though Grandma worked too. Grandpa worked. They both worked. But we always had food. She would go to the store. You know, at that time they didn't really have supermarkets. They had little stores, like little meat stores and cheese stores and pasta stores and things like that, bakeries. So she would go and buy hamburger and chicken and that kind of thing. But we had a routine on macaroni pasta was 3 times a week. It was Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. It was pasta night. That's it.
Not Wednesday. That Wednesday was Prince Spaghetti Day.
But it
No?
wasn't for us.
All right.
It wasn't for us. We'd have pork chops or hot dogs on a Saturday. On a Friday, she'd try to make some kind of fish, you know.
yeah.
Or me and my best friend Beverly would go for 50 cents and buy fish and chips at the fish and chip store.
Or crabs.
Or crabs. Sit outside and eat the crabs. And she made our lunch every day. She
For
made,
kids.
yeah, our lunch every day
What was
for
your
all
what
of
were you eating
us.
for lunch?
What was for lunch?
Yeah.
Well, she'd give us like peanut butter, jelly. She'd give us bologna and cheese. You know, cold cuts, because that's what it was back then. You know, cold cuts mostly. And let's see, what else? Sunday was pasta day, macaroni day, and chicken sometimes. If she had enough, she'd buy chicken. You know, and she'd cook that, and we'd have chicken. Soup, beef stew kind of soup.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Monday. You know, eggplant she'd make once in a while, but that was not a lot because
In
it's
season.
expensive and
In season,
yeah,
too.
it has to be in season.
All right. What about a holiday meal? Easter.
Oh, that would be
Thanksgiving, Christmas?
lasagna. That would be either ham or chicken or turkey, and salad, antipasto. Really, not so much salad, antipasto, with the ham and the cheese and the olives and all that stuff. And she'd have chestnuts, like
Ooh.
chestnuts roasting on an open
Oh.
fire.
Huh.
She would take the chestnuts and cut an X in them.
And roast them.
Put them on a roasting pan and throw it in the oven and roast them. They were delicious,
Huh.
and they were chestnuts. You know. And
Just
then
getting
she'd
them
have
from
the nuts,
market or whatever.
Yeah.
In the market.
Yeah. and our cheeses and all that were at the Providence Cheese Store, where you got fresh everything.
So she's shopping every day.
Yeah,
Just
like
about.
just about, every few days or something. Yeah, and that's how I grew up. Eating that kind of stuff.
So you're like in hog heaven.
Oh,
You mean
he
her,
was-
you're eating like a king.
He was like, "Can I come to your house tonight? What do you have for supper?"
Oh, it was unbelievable. The first time my sister went over there, she made
Oh.
instant friends with her sister
Phyllis
Geraldine,
and
and she didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
They
They're
were
the-
still close friends.
They were
right?
the best friends.
Today, they're
yes.
still best friends.
And we used to feel so bad for Phyllis because she was dressed like a little pauper, poor little thing. Didn't have many clothes.
Potato bag.
Yeah,
Almost a
you
potato
know.
bag. The poor thing. Yeah.
But she'd come over and we'd feed her too. Sort of
It
thing.
was like taking on 2 kids. My brother didn't come over much.
No,
Oh, no,
he was always stealing cars and stuff. He
No,
was never
they sent
around.
my brother. They sent my brother away. He was either going to go to the big boy school, or he had to
Bad boy school.
Sucking
bad boy
us.
school, or do something. So my grandfather made a deal with my uncle Billy,
Yeah.
who was like the almost brother of my mother, who had a farm in New Hampshire. They sent my brother to the farm,
That's where he
and
lived
he
for a
paid.
while.
My grandfather paid him so much a month that
Take care of
try
him.
to
Bring him
rehabilitate
up
my
better.
brother.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So my brother knows about cows and horses
Yeah.
and pigs and all that stuff
That's why.
from being up there.
Yeah.
And he was there for 10 years,
Well, I don't know how long
8,
he was
10
there,
years,
but whatever.
and till he finally escaped. But
Yeah.
that's how my brother came to Florida, because Uncle Billy retired, gave his farm to his boy, and he bought a shrimp boat in Newport Richey, Florida.
Huh. I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah.
And Uncle Billy didn't know squat about shrimp. So he invested all his money, because he's a farmer. He had a few bucks. All farmers have got money. And because they work hard for it. He invested a few bucks in a shrimp boat. Comes down here and he's going to be shrimp king,
Ellie.
like Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, come to find out, the boat he bought was a good shrimp boat, a good one. He got a good deal on it and everything. But it was for bait shrimp. It didn't have any refrigeration on it. You couldn't sell real shrimp on it, food shrimp. So he went in the bait business, and he did very well, but he was bumming for a long time. You know? And it turned out it was good for him. Another mason.
Well, and you kept your food traditions.
Yeah, pretty much. But I make a lot of stuff that
Talking to
Grandma.
your daughters, and your son picked
Taught
up
him how to
some
make
in
the-
passing.
Some, yeah. You know.
Taught everybody how to make those little meatballs
Yeah.
exactly the right size.
Yeah, the grandgirls have to make the meatballs, but they got to be all it, and they can't slice the sausage. You've got to
Danny
chop
here
it
has been
up.
on both meatball and sausage duty for that lasagna.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool.
But yeah.
All right. Well, for the last few minutes here, I just want you both to imagine some descendant of yours, 50, 100 years from now, watching this. What would you pass along to them?
The first thing I'm going to say is,
He's sorry.
my son, who I love dearly with my whole heart, made me do this.
All right, you got that out of the system. All right.
And I love him for it,
No, but
because it's a great
seriously,
idea.
Imagine it's like great,
Yeah.
whatever. Who knows? Wherever
Well,
the
she
family
should-
tree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
you know,
I don't
What
know.
about your lives? What about this time? What about
you know,
your experience, your wisdom, whatever that you would want to share? If you think
I would
about it.
want to share that you got to respect people. Her father, he was the marshal of whatever he was the marshal of. He worked in a plating company, a plating shop with acids and all this stuff, plating, and he worked hard. But before he went to work, he put his suit and tie on and went to work. Changed up when he got to work, put his suit and tie on, and came home. Because his work he respected, but when he came home, he was the marshal. All over and done. And respect is the biggest thing that her family had, my grandfather had. And that's what I'd like to pass on, because we've tried to do that too. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I've tried really hard to respect the people that respect me. If you don't respect me,
Somebody get her.
you're in trouble. And I'm in trouble because you don't. So there's a reason. That's all.
I just want to pass down some damn good food.
Yes.
There
Yes.
you go.
Yes.
I've got a recipe book that I'm doing, and different recipes that I've tried, and some that I own, that are mine.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd like the kids to have something like that,
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and just do things like that, family stuff, family things. Yep. And I'd like them all to have good lives, and good families, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, that's it.
Great advice. Did I forget anything?
No, you don't.
Anything you want to add?
And love their nana and their papa.
Yes.
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 And their mom and dad. Okay. Because we love that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
How about a kiss? How about a kiss? You too. You too.
Oh,
There
you
go.
wanna kiss
Come
me?
on, give him a
Kiss
kiss.
me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You want to show them how we work?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, whoa! This is a family show.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Done.
Thank
Is
you.
that
very-
enough?
That's enough. Enough.
Did we do good?
All right. Let's manja.
Manja.
Cut
Manja.
that part out.
You got to take all these
You're
pictures
gonna
on
have
now.
to edit stuff, I know.